Is there anybody out there?
The lights in the night sky. Sky watchers. We're watching. We're watching.
Did you see that?
Here on EngageLife.fm.
Welcome to Sky Watchers. This is your host, Debra Jayne East, and we're watching the skies in North Carolina and all over the world. I am very excited to have a special guest with us tonight, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about him before we let him talk here. His name is Kosta Makreas, and he is the co-founder of the ettalks-org community, soon to be rebranded as UFOcontact.com, and the creator of the Global CE5 ET Contact Initiative and the People's Disclosure Movement. He was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and in 1977 he earned a BA in Computer Science from Indiana University. He has been a successful software consultant in Silicon Valley for more than 3 decades and a spiritual activist since his teens. Well, Kosta, I have to say this. I have never in my life had so many comments and well wishes when I posted this promo about you being on the show. You are so accepted and loved in the UFO community. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you saying that. I feel the same way about the community, by the way. It's a love fest.
It really is. I tell you, there is so much love and acceptance because I've only been doing this radio show for a couple of months, and I have just been embraced. Everybody is wonderful. It really is like family. And I have to say this. I interviewed some proteges of yours, and that would be the CE5 San Diego group with Peter Chan and his bunch. And what a great bunch of young people. They were intelligent, diverse, and they had nothing but kind and wonderful comments to say about you. So they are a great team.
Well, again, that's the feeling is mutual. I originally connected with Pete Chan when he was just Pete Chan, and was watching him with delight as more people were added on and discovered him. And now he's got a small, quality, ongoing group, and obviously you know how high that quality is, both in their professional ways and in the work they're doing. So so I'm delighted that Pete and all the others, and I want to give them a shout out here and actually thank them for what they're doing, because they're very much a classic kind of group where it starts out with one person who's really interested and enthusiastic, and next thing you know is they're reporting back to me they've got a couple more, and then sometimes they go up to a dozen, sometimes they go up to 25 or 30. So that's a typical type of progression, and you just enjoy it every single time that happens, no matter where in the world that group is growing.
Well, I was just impressed with their intelligence. Their documentation was impeccable. I told Peter, I said, I'm just very, very proud to know that people like you are devoting their time and energy to help with disclosure. So I was just really impressed with them, and I hope that many more continue in this path. I would like to ask you, how did you first become interested in UFOs of all things and extraterrestrials? That's not like your everyday thing.
No, and especially where I grew up in Indiana. I was born in the early 50s, so my formative years were the early 60s, mid-60s, late 60s, and that part of the country was just not that steeped in this. Actually, many parts of the country were not. I found my first UFO book, I think, in a drugstore paperback section, where they have one of those revolving contraptions, and I loved
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. I wasn't calling you out on age or anything.
Oh, yes. Well, I was born, in that same time frame, so I do remember that.
Yeah, maybe they still have them, but I was an enthusiastic reader, and there was a book on UFOs. I think I've even forgotten the title. It might have been the Betty and Barney Hill book. But anyway,
I read that.
Yeah, I started with that book, and it just lit me up. I had always been a fan of science fiction and was reading all the science fiction books of the day that I could, so it was quite natural for me to be interested in space, etc. And the fact that there might be visiting civilizations was just added an added benefit to the fiction that I was reading. Suddenly, it looked like it could be nonfiction. Oh, you mean they're really here? This is fascinating. They're making contact. Tell me more. So I started out as a child doing that, and I did book reports and things like that as I continued to read more and presented it in my science classes in school. So that interest carried on, and my enthusiasm carried on through school. At the same time, I was also interested in astronomy. So I had my telescope out in the backyard and was communing with the heavens at that time, and just awed by the magnificence of the planets, the stars, the galaxies, and just felt a tug, like I wanted to be out there exploring. So that was my love affair with the sky through astronomy. As you can see, I was just destined to stay interested in UFOs. All these different areas of my interest, all kind of wrapped up around the same theme, interstellar visitations and intelligent life beyond the Earth. So I was hooked as a kid.
Well, it's really like a magical time, because I remember as well staring at the universe at night and looking at the stars and just wondering, if there was something out there. And it was a very impressionable age, for me as well. I would like to ask you, why should the general public, with all the things that are going on in the world right now, really be interested in the UFO phenomenon?
That is an excellent question, and we're going to be trying to do more education around that through ET Let's Talk and through UFOcontact.com that we're building soon. And that education revolves around, how does it affect the everyday person? Most people can say, and I've known many people that say, well, I believe they are here, and I believe that they're visiting, but really, what relevance does that have to my daily life? I've got to pay my bills, got to pick up my kids from soccer, got to go to work, and have to live my life. And my answer to that is, how are they getting here? Think about the science for a minute. And if you consider that they're using energy and technologies that could benefit us here on Earth, then it does become very personal. Because if some of the free energy technologies that they're using could be shared with humanity, we could be powering our homes, our cars, our factories, our schools, our businesses, our farms, everything with free, non-polluting, limitless energy, just for starters. How does that affect a person? Well, then if they don't have to pay for all these bills, possibly we could construct a civilization where a lot of these survival things in life are provided free. And what I say to people is, imagine if a work week could be reduced by many, many hours. I don't know by how many, but probably significant.
Well, everybody should like that. That would be
Exactly.
good.
That's why it affects all of us. Because honestly, many of us, probably everywhere, wish we had more time to be creative, to pursue other talents that we have, other avenues of coming from our heart, if our work isn't already doing that. And for some of us, our work does do that. With a reduced work week, and I'm just throwing this out as an example, I'm not saying this is how it will work out, but you have to imagine, put it out there, envision it. Imagine all the free creative time that would be freed up by humanity. Half of humanity now, we're told, goes to bed wondering where their next meal will come the next day. What
Yes.
an extraordinary tragedy on the very basic survival level, that in a world of plenty that could feed us all, people have to be living like that. Imagine those people being able to grow their food for free, to power their homes, to heat themselves, and not have to worry about the energy. And I also say to people, imagine that they don't have to go fight wars over oil, over territories, over these geopolitical BS games that governments set up and pit us against each other. When that energy of not having to always be preparing to attack your neighbor or defend against a neighbor trying to steal, your energy resources. When that energy is freed up from the military side of things, again, the creative part of the human spirit is going to soar. And
Wow.
we have no conception of how great that can be yet. We've never tried it.
Can you imagine how much stress that would relieve humanity from?
Yes.
It would be overwhelming.
I
you
try
feel-
to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I do try to imagine, but I think that my imagination is far too limited to really know how incomprehensible, wonderful that can be. But we've got to try it.
I agree. Do you think that most people know the truth from fiction in regards to UFOs?
I think in their gut they do, especially these days, and I can only speak about maybe, let's say, the American public. Your listeners are probably around the world, and maybe they can speak for what their cultures and their countries know and feel in their guts. But I'll bet you that the common person today will say, yes, of course there's intelligent life. The news is full of more and more hundreds of planets being discovered by traditional mainstream science, in the preceding months and recent years. So from the traditional science point of view, the information is just flowing at us, like the floodgates have been opened. The fact that there are habitable planets, star systems out there that resemble our own, and not that life always has to resemble our own, but at least for our type of human life, the public is being educated a great deal now that the universe is big and that we're not the only planet out there. It's not that big a leap for them then to believe that in their gut, inside their souls, that life might be visiting here.
Yes, I know that recently NASA released that they discovered 750 more galaxies. It's just every day, we send up new telescopes, we do all kinds of stuff, and you're right, the universe is a large place. Well, we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk about CE5.
Thank you for being a part of the Engaged Life family. Welcome home.
Something strange was happening in Lilydale, New York. Marina Jacobs went there to search for the one true man that she loved. Too bad he wasn't human. This is author Debra Jayne East. My paranormal romance book, Radiance: Love After Death, is available on Amazon worldwide and modernlovebooks.com. True love is not just for the living.
Thank you for being a part of the Engaged Life family. Welcome home.
And we're back with Kosta Makreas, and we're going to talk a little bit about Human Initiated Contact Experience, or HICE for short. What exactly, who coined that phrase first, by the way? I've never heard of it before.
One of our ET Let's Talk team, Dr. Joseph Burks, coined that term a few years ago. He was active in the 90s with ET contact experiences and had a lot of close encounters of his own and came up with that particular acronym. We like it and are going to be using it moving forward now as UFOcontact.com, which also, by the way, will include the ettalks-org community. But we're using HICE now because we think in a generalized way for the larger public that we want to engage the average intelligent person out there, not just the UFO enthusiasts who are already part of the wonderful choir that has come together around this ET contact with us. But for the general person, the term HICE, Human Initiated Contact Experience, will let them know right away just from the acronym when it's expanded that it involves Human Initiated Contact Experience. The use of the previous CE5, the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, has its place in the lexicon of Close Encounters 1 through 5. But for the average person that we want to educate and engage moving forward, saying CE5, Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, will not mean anything to them without having to do a lot more research. So HEIS is what we'll be using, and HEIS can include many different protocols underneath its large umbrella for how that human-initiated experience happens with ET. We don't want to limit it with just one protocol, because I'll tell you, after many months and years of running the monthly events and facilitating them, where many of our teams reach out to ET intelligence, I find that every group seems to have their own customized flair of the original type of protocols that we put out there. So we realize that everyone is going to kind of roll their own, but there is a certain commonality throughout all of our techniques that we hope people will standardize on as they make their contact. And under HEIS, that involves the use of consciousness, the use of the heart, the mind, in coherent thought and coherent love to create a group coherence or even an individual one, because you can do this as an individual or as a group, and to present your heightened vibrations and your approach that involves love, goodwill, intentions towards extraterrestrial intelligence. That as a basis, as a standard, is really what's crucial to be at the core of the contact. The ETs have told us that they can easily detect groups that approach them with this love and this goodwill. And right there, that will establish the connection and allow further interaction and communication to take place. And HEIS is what's used to describe that general approach, although there may be different methods and twists on how to do that.
Well, that reminds me of a comment that I heard. You were doing an interview with Stephen Greer, and you mentioned that the conscious mind is not limited to the physical body. And I really love that description. I don't think a lot of people exactly understand that. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I prefer to think that we are spirit having a material experience, and that's what I mean. Our consciousness is what encompasses the universe, and it's manipulating or ensouling our physical body. But a lot of people who have had near-death experiences and experiences in meditation and in enlightenment often describe how they leave their body behind, and they recognize that their physical existence is only a small aspect of the larger being that they really are, the cosmic being. And often people come back with an elation, a sense of how wonderful it is to be this larger being. And sometimes they're even disappointed they have to go back into a body with its limitations. So that's what I talk about when I say that consciousness is bigger than the body. And HEIS is what includes or is using that consciousness. It's called non-local mind. There are many phrases for that depending on the spiritual tradition that you may be coming from. But in general, it's a recognition that we are not just muscle, bone, and blood, and flesh, but there is something, our spirit, whatever inside, that is not limited by this form. And by using techniques that this spirit provides, we can communicate over large distances, and with time not even being an issue, with intelligence basically anywhere in the universe. And again, that's at the core of our experience in contacting extraterrestrial beings.
Well, I think in this time and age, more people are embracing that thought. And speaking for myself, having a near-death experience, I totally agree with you. And the meditation aspect in doing the contact is very important. And would you say that just any person can do an initiated contact without a lot of formal training?
I would say yes.
I mean, you don't have to have a degree, right?
No, I don't think anybody's out there giving degrees or requiring year-long efforts. And I'm not demeaning or diminishing any other type of course of study that does do that, not by any means. But what I love about this kind of interactive experience with ET is really the simplicity. If you go to the Making Contact link on ettalks-org and just read the simple description there that utilizes some meditation, some visualization, getting calm and going within, and then visualizing yourself connecting with extraterrestrial intelligence, as well as using your heart during the process to open up in love. That's the basics. It doesn't take hours of courses to get there. I really believe strongly that our intentions are more what matters. If it's taken you a lifetime, for example, to get to a place where you can feel goodwill towards extraterrestrial intelligence and love and openness and open-mindedness to contacting, well, then maybe it took you a lifetime to get to there. If it took you 5 minutes to just have a light bulb go on and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm complete. I really want to contact them. I would love to learn more about civilizations. Then, like that, at the snap of a finger, you can sit down and begin the process. So it will be different for every person, how they get there. But once they get there, to recognizing their consciousness, their love, their goodwill, their peaceful intentions are really what makes this possible. They can just experiment with it all they want. And the price of entry is low. We have teams by the hundreds all over the world in more than 50 countries, 5,000 people at ettalks-org, who maybe daily, maybe once a month, maybe once a week, we don't really know, are sitting in their living rooms, maybe in their backyards, maybe they have a special site where they go to watch the sky, but they do the same thing. They just use these methods of meditation and visualization and good intentions to make the contact no matter where they are. And that makes it convenient for them in their life, convenient time and a convenient place that they choose.
Well, I have to say that the site is really wonderful. You have a map on there, community, forum, resources, and a blog. It's really a great site, and it's very easy to navigate. And so I encourage everybody to check that out. Another question that I'd like to ask you is, when these initiated contacts are experienced, how are ETs communicating? Is it just by showing up in the sky, or are there different ways that they can communicate?
It's the latter answer. Yeah, they're not limited by one means. God help us if they were. We'd have very limited contact. But they are very creative, and their means can be, of course, in the sky, which engages many of us and excites a lot of us. Even after years of doing this and having successful contact in a lot of ways, I find myself still loving to see what I know is a starcraft in the sky, dimming and brightening when I talk to it in my mind, moving about in zigzag fashions, then shooting off in a way that no man-made or natural phenomenon can do. That still excites me, and I know it excites other people as well. But the ETs have many more ways other than that. The communication can come in the form of a telepathic message. It can come as a lucid dream later on. It can come as a physical touch, say on your nose, that's very playful, or on your shoulder, on your knee. All of that has happened to me and to others that I know. Or you can have, for example, a weird electrical phenomenon around you. I've had an iPhone that has been shut off just turn itself on and play All You Need Is Love out of when I was
that is so cool.
discussing an ET thing with an ET topic with a friend, and that was weird. The phone turned itself on, and then the song was very appropriate to what we were talking about. And that's one example. Every month when we send our teams out near the new moon all over the world to make contact in a coordinated way, we get reports back of all the different ways that ET intelligence does make that contact. And it includes what I've mentioned, plus many other ways. People have seen orbs floating in and out of, from treetop level. They've had a sudden fog show up and then just disappear quickly. They've had their car lights turn on and off by themselves. The list just goes on, and I know I'm leaving a lot out, but if I could get a room full of our teams in here, I'd say you'd have a different story for every person about how the contact is made. Now, we don't claim this is like a scientific study where we rigorously control all the variables and such. Admittedly, this is anecdotal, and we get many stories and reports. We try to teach our people to eliminate all the natural kinds of phenomenon that would rule out something that isn't ET, or that would rule out. I think I got that right. Two negatives don't make a positive, or something. We're trying to teach people, like, be discriminating, have an open mind, don't believe everything, be a little bit skeptical, but open-minded, and you'll suddenly find that ET will find a way that's special and safe for them and for you to make that communication. And then it's up to you out there how often you want to make that contact, how deeper you want to take the communication. You can ask questions, you can get answers. It's an experiential community. Again, not a scientific study, but it's a community where we, in a safe manner, can tell each other the stories, share our information, and know that we're not going to be ridiculed or put down or disbelieved or treated in any hostile kind of way. Because as a community, we're supporting each other, and that's what we've built at ettalks-org. If you go to the map there, and you see where all the groups are located all over the world, people can just kind of mouse over the locations on the ettalks-org community map, and they can find other groups or individuals that are near them and contact them, so that sense of community is further established. You're not alone. And that's one thing people tell me, is they don't feel alone anymore.
Well, we were talking about ways that ETs communicate, and one of my favorite stories is when I had Jeff Becker on, who wrote Past Contact, and he had went to bed, and before he went to bed, he had communicated to the ETs that he would like them to show up and to let him know. And then he heard 3 knocks, and he woke up, and I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive. But I have to share this with you. When I did the CE5 San Diego interview, I was holding 2 geodes in my hand, and I don't know why, but I went and got those geodes and I held them in my hand. And after the interview, I just felt compelled to take a picture of the geodes, and so I did. And an hour later, I looked at the geodes, and I was also compelled, once again, just keep on enlarging both pictures of the geodes. And 2 images were on the geodes that I posted on the Skywatchers radio show Facebook page. And one of them was definitely a face, and one of them looked like E.T. And I sent them to Peter, and I said, Peter, what do these look like? And he definitely recognized the one that looked like a face, that it looked like an Native American that he felt he had communicated with at one time during a contact. So I was having a CE5 experience, and I didn't even know it. So I'm glad that you said that for everybody, that it's unique, because that's one of the beautiful things, I think, about doing it. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the transition from ettalks-org to UFO contact. We'll be right back.
You have been listening to Skywatchers with Debra Jayne East. Contact us, skywatchersfacebook.com or Alien Chronicles for more information.
Thank you for being a part of the Engaged Life family. Welcome home.
Looking for a good time? modernlovebooks.com. The one place to find that special book for that special time. modernlovebooks.com.
An Irish blessing from Engage Life Radio. May love and laughter light your days and warm your heart and home. May good and faithful friends be yours wherever you may roam. May peace and plenty bless your world with joy that long endures. May all life's passing seasons bring the best to you and yours. Happy St. Paddy's Day from the Old Irish at engageliferadio.org and engagelife.fm. Have a beautiful and lucky day, and here's to the path ahead.
Join Debra Jayne East for Skywatchers, a show for the UFO enthusiast. Skywatchers is on ELR.FM. Check out the schedule for the live show by going to ELR.FM. That's EngageLifeRadio.org. Skywatchers with Debra Jayne East.
And we're back with Skywatchers and our special guest, Kosta Makreas. And I have one more question, Kosta, to ask you about HICE. How do you teach people? I know that you do these things, I guess, close to where you live, or do you travel, or do people come to you? How does that work?
Right now, it's mostly through the website where the clicking of the Making Contact link on ettalks-org has the text there. What we want to do in the future is do more teaching at different locations, do some trainings, and as well as have speakers to be able to be physically present with people. But obviously, because we can't reach thousands or millions of people like we want to in a very, very personalized way, then so far they've been relying again on the text that they read, or by us putting them in touch with someone who already knows how, and then those people getting together physically because they live near each other, for example. So people teach each other, and it gets sent along that way. In the future, we could release some videos with explanations. Been thinking about that. And again, actually having trainings. The audience that we're wanting to reach is going to expand, we hope, by the many thousands. So, of course, we have to be able to scale with that. And using video, for example, is one of the easiest ways to reach a lot of people, one of the most efficient ways. We're also going to have an app that we're creating and we'll be releasing in the next few weeks that's going to be just really wonderful. We're excited about it, the UFO Contact app, that will allow people to find each other on a map after they've become a premium member on the website itself. The app that they're holding is going to show them where other teams are, and they'll be able in real time to start chatting with people that they find on the map. So imagine how exciting that is in a social way, that you're holding your smartphone in your hand, you bring up our app, and you look at the map there and find someone in your nearby town or maybe even across the world, and you just contact them with chat and start talking with them if they happen to be online. That's what the app will do. It's really meant to be a social community builder that will just expand our reach as much as possible in a way that we can't do one-on-one. So I urge people to be on the lookout for that. We'll be communicating and sending more information about the app, and we hope that people will use it and learn from it. It will also have instructions on there on how to do the heist and a few other things, other features that we're going to introduce in the future. But I'll hold off on those for right now so I can surprise you later.
Oh, yeah. You know how everybody loves surprises. I do.
Of course.
Do you have any estimate of how many people are doing CE5? I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier about it's in a lot of countries. And do you have any idea how many people have started doing this? Because it seems to be a really underground movement right now.
Yeah, well, well, actually, we're above ground. We're very public when we're out there on the web and stuff. But it's not a movement that's in its millions yet, and I don't have a number on any given basis. We just don't have any way to measure that. We do know that our membership is about 5,000 now on ettalks-org, and we're in more than 50 countries. How often any people in that range are meeting and doing it, we don't know. I do know that on our monthly events, which are very regular, and they've been very regular since October 2010 when I started them, we'll often have close to 200 teams in about 30 different countries joining in over a 24-hour period to coordinate in a time and location that's convenient to each of us. That's why the 24 hours is enough time for us to pick in our locales what works for us. But during that 24 hours, we'll have those almost 200 teams making a unified approach to extraterrestrial intelligence and then reporting back to the site what the experiences were. So that's the best I can tell you for right now. Obviously, in the future, as we grow into ufocontact.com, we may devise other methods, maybe take polls, for example, to find out just how many people are using this, are making the contact every month, every week. I love numbers, and so obviously it's very natural for me to want to know this kind of thing. Right now, our staff, though, is pretty much all volunteers, so we are doing the best we can with the resources that we have. And if we wish we had more financial and time and energy resources to do the kind of thing that you're asking for, to know at the drop of a hat how many people are using this. But, we're getting there. The movement is growing. People are excited about it. And as we reach out as ufocontact.com, I think we'll find even more people being excited about it.
Well,
I also, by the way,
go ahead.
I forgot to mention when you asked me about us teaching heists, etc. Dr. Joe Burks, who's a member of our of ettalks-org, has a lot of years' experience with contact workers and in organizational building. So he's currently reaching out to people in our current network and getting them excited and visiting those that he can actually visit to teach and to talk about organizing into teams and building it out that way. So thanks to him, we've been doing some work that way that is just really essential. He's just a fountain of knowledge and experience that people love to hear about and learn from.
Could you share with us some other members of the UFO Contact administrative team?
Oh, absolutely. I want to give a shout out to my buddies Lori Rosenfield and Jonathan Rosenfield, Dr. Joe Burks, of course, and Hollis Polk, and also our newest member, who's Danny Sheehan. We're all members now and working in different capacities in our spare time as we can to keep this rolling and going and growing as much as we can. And I want to thank them all publicly for all the time and energy they've put in. I wouldn't be here talking right now if it weren't for the team effort that everyone brings and all the special skills they bring that I don't have, that each other may not have. But together we make a really nice composite group that works pretty much in an egoless fashion, because this is really about the mission. And we're trying to do something different than the traditional UFO thing, where a lot of strong personalities take the stage and maybe egos get in the way and conflicts like that happen. We're trying to work in a way where we're leading by community as we build the community, so that we can do our part to be kind of at a core, I and the people that I just mentioned. But in the final analysis, rather, we want to empower every single person out there in the network to start their own network, because then the center becomes everywhere. And
well, it's funny you should mention that about the ego thing, because in my experience from talking with some of the other members of teams, like for instance, one time I said, well, who sort of plans everything or runs everything in the group, and they said everybody does. There's no leader. We're all equal. We all have the same importance. And I I thought that was very impressive, and I think that sometimes people in leadership, quote, big leadership positions, that gets in the way of sometimes of creativity and things. So,
I can't agree more with you.
Could you? I would like you to share your most interesting experience that a team has experienced, whether it was with you or you heard through, someone else. Can you think of something right off the bat?
I can think about a dozen things right off the bat. And I know I won't do justice if I just pick one, but I do need to pick one here. We've had teams in New York where they've had flyovers, I think, at under 1,000 feet of a large object over a group of 25, 30 people. And being able to be even photographed. The type of thing where you just can't make it up and where you just can't say everyone's hallucinating or everybody's high on drugs or whatever. It's a sobering and joyful and wonderful experience that's been reported not only in that location but in other locations where a starcraft did come that close and move slowly over, changing colors, being photographed, etc. If that isn't dramatic enough, I don't know what is. Probably the more dramatic thing would be if they just landed on your front lawn, I guess, but that hasn't happened to too many people yet. So I would say that's one experience. If I may, I'd like to add another one, and that
I'd love
one
to
I
hear
had.
it.
Yeah, that's what put me on this road where I realized that I want to do more in this mission. It was early on, actually it was right at the beginning of my career where excuse me, I did a week-long ambassador training at Mount Shasta, and one night during that week where we were learning to do our ET contact using consciousness and going out night after night, we did have one night where a sphere, it might have been 6 feet across, slowly materialized in front of us at midnight in a forest in front of about 10 maybe volunteers, observers. It stuck around for half an hour. It was opaque. And after I was rubbing my eyes and making sure I wasn't seeing shadows or some of the moon or something.
It was a surreal moment, huh?
Surreal half hour. It stayed there in front of all of us, and people were talking in hushed whispers, and one or two people walked away with a sunburn at midnight from the emanation. Now, it didn't hurt any of us, and some people in our group were in psychic telepathic contact with the inhabitants or the pilots in there who actually wanted to try some experimentation with the human energy field, and they asked for permission of a woman next to me for that half hour to kind of meld with her and test the aura and the energy system with her permission, and it went very orderly and smoothly. And I can't make this stuff up. I watched that happen, and I watched that small sphere, that small spaceship. Was it a scout ship? Was it part of a larger ship that didn't materialize? I don't know, but I do know that with my eyes, I saw it for that amount of time. It was very real, and then slowly it dematerialized and faded into the background. I had never had an experience like that, and it was the kind of thing that I knew nobody could ever take away from me. It wasn't secondhand, it was firsthand. It wasn't someone else's story, even someone else who I trusted. This was my story. I believe that a lot of people out there who've had an experience like that can say the same thing. This is what I saw. It can never be taken away from me, and it changed my life so that I wanted to do more contact, and that's what I'm doing right now. It just helped me make that start with conviction.
Well, that is very impressive, and I urge everybody, if they want more information, to go to your website, which is ettalks.org, and check out the site and become a member, because there are so many informative and interesting things to do on there. And also, I'd like to reach out and ask everybody also to like our Skywatchers radio show page on Facebook, because we have a lot of great guests coming up, and I definitely want to do my part for disclosure. And in closing out the show, I would just like to ask you, do you have any upcoming events, Kosta, on the calendar, or any special things coming up that you would like to announce?
Yes, I do. Thanks for asking. This March 22nd, which is Saturday, we will have a webinar that we're presenting featuring Danny Sheehan, our new general counsel, who's had a lifelong interest in UFO, in addition to a stellar career as a litigator in the American public interest for decades. During this seminar, which will probably be about an hour and a half, Danny will speak about his lifelong interest in UFOs, and we'll also give information to the community about the changes coming with UFOcontact.com. We also have a retreat coming up in Toronto in the fall. The date is to be determined yet, but probably the end of August, early September timeframe. We'll be announcing that through our mailing list as well, and we'll be having stellar speakers there, Danny Sheehan, one of them, as well as going out under the stars. So that's a retreat in Toronto for 4 days, again in the fall. I invite people who are on our list to join, and who aren't, like you said, to please join our website at ettalks-org. And the next news you'll be getting is about this webinar coming up March 22nd, Saturday, which will be 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, and will be accessible throughout the world. And we urge people to come and join us there and take a listen to where we're going, and listen to Danny Sheehan speak as well. It should be great.
Well, how can all of us expand the outreach for UFOcontact.com? What can we do? Because I found out that we really are a community, and one of the nicest communities that I've ever been involved in. What can we all do to help with disclosure?
It comes down to the individual, you know. I mean, we're not all called upon to raise a banner and find 1 million followers, you know. But if thousands of us find 1 or 2 interested people close to us that we can talk to about it, you know, without fear, and at our work, in our families, in our personal relationships, then those 1 or 2 people may be the people that come with you to have a heist, an experience. And then they may find 1 or 2 other people in their network, in their small circle of life. And that's how it expands. It's very individual, it'll be person to person. You can start your own website. You can start using social media if you want to do a larger outreach rather than just the one-on-one thing, for example. There are people who write articles, people who do YouTube videos. This is an age of communication. I mean, just close your eyes, throw a stone out, and you'll find a way to communicate to the larger world. The important thing is, no matter what method you find, if you've done the contact experience yourself and had your results, you will speak with a sense of conviction that other people will hear in your voice and see in your eyes. And they're going to think to themselves, wow, I trust this person's information. They're not lying to me. Could I do that? And that's how we will continue to build, is through that genuine contact and experience, whether it's 1 by 1 or eventually thousands and millions. And make no mistake, you know, we're part of a people's disclosure movement here. We can use the power of Twitter and Facebook in so many ways to do what governments have not done. I'll bet you 100% of the people out there believe that governments have lied to us, no matter what government we're under, about the UFO and the ET.
Oh, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that 100%. In
fact, HuffPost did it wasn't a totally scientific poll, but they did a poll that showed that in the U.S., 48% of adults believe that we're being visited. Not just that they believe in an intelligent life that might be microbial somewhere, but that there are starcraft visiting us here and now. Another 16% were open-minded. So you add those two numbers up, 48 and 16, you get 64% of people who believe we're being visited today or are willing to believe. That's almost 2 out of 3 Americans. So we're no longer in the minority. When I was a kid, I was in the minority. Maybe you were too. You didn't want to speak about this. And maybe you still have to be careful in some places. But by and large, it's a topic, this visitation, this communication with these benevolent life forms that want to help us. It's something that whose time has come, and the public in their gut recognizes this, and the People's Disclosure Movement is all about us getting together and making our own contact, because the governments sure don't want to do that. They've been hiding things. Maybe some have started disclosing on websites little by little, but now the power's in our hands. We can sidestep the governments with just a little bit of instruction, like we're trying to put out there, like all the people that are in our community are putting out there. Anybody can do this contact, and anybody can be part of this large movement now. And it's a movement that I don't think it's had any equal in human history. And I'm not really understating that, because, think about it. Wouldn't the largest story be that you can imagine be that humanity, we ourselves, took the power back into our own hands to make contact with scores, maybe hundreds of galactic civilizations who are here, likely by the millions, and who have advanced technologies that they want to share. If that story doesn't eclipse anything else that we can do as a creative human species, I don't know what does. It's in our hands right now, and we've got to do it, because the future of the Earth is at stake. If we the people, don't get together and connect through our maps, for example, to find each other and to build this movement, we can't rely on other people to do that, because they've proven that they're interested more in their power, in their oil games, in owning the media, and keeping us as information and economic slaves. We're in the process of being inspired now to free ourselves, and we have a lot of company doing that. So I encourage people to come to ettalks.org. That's just one way. Get on the map there and find others around you, and join us on the forums, and join us on ufocontact.com, so that you'll know that you're on the leading vanguard of this People's Disclosure Movement. And it's a really great place to be. A lot of great company, wonderful people.
It is, and it's so important. Speaking for myself, when I was 12 years old and I had my first experience seeing a UFO, I remember being so excited and thrilled, and it's just something you can't explain. And I asked my father, I said, we need to report this. We need to tell someone. And he looked down at me and he said, they'll just think we're crazy.
Wow.
And all these years, I have remembered that. That's why I'm doing this radio show. I don't want anybody to feel ashamed to say they saw a UFO. People have contacted me from all over the world, telling me their experiences, and some of these people are in their 60s and 70s, and it happened when they were small. So it's something you never forget. And groups like, that work with Disclosure and E.T. Let's Talk and Dr. Stephen Greer, Stephen Bassett, all of these groups that work so hard, it's very important for the future of humanity. Well, Kosta, I just want to thank you. It's been a pleasure to have you on today, and I hope everybody will check out your website. Do you have any last comments you'd like to say before we sign off?
I just want to urge everybody to let's all stop talking about it. The power's in your hands right now to do it, and it's easy. Might I say it's fun. It's a serious business, saving the world for future generations. But, let's make it fun. We're a community. We're kind of out of the cosmic closet. And, it's time to stand up, be proud, and do this work. And we just know that the galactic civilizations are responding to us. And once the power structure that has kept this suppressed is no longer there in place, we're going to see a chapter in human history open up where we are communicating openly and fully on Earth with these civilizations, and you just cannot imagine how good that's going to be. And I want to say to everyone, you have a part in shaping it right now. The best way to predict the future is to create it.
I like that. I think that should be a T-shirt.
It's going to business.
Well, I am just so happy to have you as a guest today, and I want to thank all the listeners. And if there's anyone out there, any scientists or authors, witnesses, any UFO enthusiasts that are interested in being on the show, you can contact me through Skywatcher's Facebook page and let me know. Don't be afraid to speak out. I hope everyone has a great evening, and join us again next week for Skywatchers. Thank you, Kosta. Have a good evening.
And thank you for having me on. Good evening to you, too.
You have been listening to Skywatchers with Debra Jayne East. Contact us, skywatchersfacebook.com or Alien Chronicles for more information.
Thank you for being a part of the Engaged Life family. Welcome home.